What exactly do you feel when you have just watched something like this? Or this?
I am like an angel, mankind's angel. My heart is like a rose.
I'm sure most of you must have felt embarrassment or even laughed at what is shown to you right now. The kind of content which either makes us squirm in embarrassment or make us laugh is we commonly call as cringe.
Hi, I'm Pratik, and in this video we will talk about cringe and why do we have a love-hate relationship with it.
In year 2016, Pooja Jain's selfie song broke the internet with millions of views. Many new YouTubers over the years have followed her suit. The internet trend seems to suggest that it is very popular among the youth to create a kind of content in which people are doing some weird stuff. And with the coming of TikTok in past few years, the cringe content on the internet has skyrocketed. But why do we love cringe so much and hate it too?
According to Melissa Dahl, the author of the book Cringe Worthy, she says that we feel cringe when we can put ourselves in the shoes of someone performing something embarrassing.
Normally, we empathize with those embarrassing themselves. In her book, she writes that people who feel cringe can be divided into two groups: those who feel compassionate cringe and those who feel contemptuous cringe. We feel compassionate cringe when we feel for those who do not seem that fortunate or less capable to perform a certain feat. Or those who may just slip on their way to receive an award and are aware of the embarrassment that they have caused to themselves. But for the most part, the kind of cringe we feel on the internet is that of a contemptuous cringe, in which people feel emotionally distant with a person performing certain kind of awkwardness. We feel contemptuous for those who lack self-awareness about themselves. For example, when a person comes up who doesn't know how well or bad he is, we feel good when the judges mock the candidate for their lack of talent.
Why does it happen?
इनकी किस्मत जो है टीम से जुड़ी हुई है। अगले वर्ल्ड कप में वो टीम भी जीतेगी और ये भी जीतेंगे।
Or when someone makes a video thinking that they are a good singer but clearly aren't good enough to match the standard.
It's my life, wherever I wanna go.
But what exactly is cringe? Can it be that what is cringe for someone could be normal for someone else? Like for me, cringe is what we watch on television news channel these days. But for someone, the same news could be just a source of information.
So it is safe to say that there is no particular kind of a thing that can be called cringe in our culture. Rather, it is subjective what is cringe and what is not. In fact, we often cringe at our own self.
For example, when we look at our old photographs or the old works or the science project we made in school, the songs we used to dance to, one common source for us 90s kids is the Bollywood films we grew up watching, and realizing in our adulthood that these films not only lacked logic but some of them were outright offensive.
और मैं जानता हूँ कि एक हिंदुस्तानी लड़की की इज्जत क्या होती है।
We realized that how we could have watched such a thing. How could I like and love something at which I cringe now?
We feel it is easier to laugh at our past, and sometimes we get embarrassed by it too.
But why? Because we feel we didn't know any better back then. Even as a culture, when we look at our past, we realize how immature we were. And since now we have more knowledge and awareness, we appreciate better things, and these things become the standard by which we judge our past. If we apply the same analogy with the youngsters for making cringe, is it justified that we make fun of them because they don't match our standards? And what if our taste doesn't match someone else's standard?
What if someone up in the hierarchy is making fun of the content we are making?
So is there hierarchy of the taste? According to sociologist Pierre Bourdieu, one's taste in artistic things is dependent on the amount of cultural capital one has. But But what is cultural capital? Bourdieu's concept of cultural capital refers to the collection of symbolic elements such as skills, taste, posture, clothing, mannerism, material belongings, credential, etc. that one acquires through being part of particular social class, sharing similar forms of cultural capital with others, the same taste in movies, for example, or a degree from a prestigious school or college. You must have seen those people, haven't you? It creates a sense of collective identity and a group position. But Bourdieu also points out that cultural capital is a major source of social inequality. For example, someone with money may buy an expensive car, but they can't get membership into a golf club, gymkhana clubs, or into the art galleries.
समझा चल निकल
दोस्त बेकारी नहीं है अपन बहुत पैसे हैं अपने पास
अगर यहाँ पैसे से एंट्री मिलती ना तो अखे बम्बई के सब लोग यहीं पर मिलते पहले औकात बना हैसियत बना और फिर आना
They may be considered uncouth and uncultured to have an access to a space like that. Also, certain forms of cultural capital are valued over others. For example, if someone is watching Hollywood films and English TV series, they would consider themselves far superior than those who only watch Bollywood films and watch normal television like we also used to do. Not having social capital can greatly hinder one's social mobility just as much as income or wealth.
With the internet penetration expanding to the villages and small towns of India, people are using it to express themselves.
One may find their content cringe-worthy and lacking in any artistic value, but one has to see that their mode of expression reflects only the modest resources that they have at their disposal to create. As Bourdieu says that the amount of cultural capital one has depends a lot on the amount of financial capital and social capital one has. Their expression, even though amateurish, reflects the limited resource such as education, skills and knowledge that they have at their disposal to create. If looked at from another perspective, we can also see their self-expression through these apps as a mirror which reflects the great class inequality in India. So, if we find ourselves laughing or mocking at those for making cringe, maybe we should be a little bit sensitive to the social location of these individuals as well. Maybe, if there's one place where one can see the great class divide in India, it is not on the national newspaper or the television, but on these social media apps. They reflect the true picture in much clearer way than any news item ever could. The people who create so-called cringe content, we may laugh at them for their deviant behavior, but isn't it rather a norm that to find success on the internet, one has to display a certain kind of deviant behavior? In fact, in the world we are living today, the norms have completely vanished. If one just looks at the news, we find all kinds of deviant behaviors, none of which can be called normal by any journalistic standards. Look at most of our commercially successful films. They are successful because they deviate so much from the norm that they are loved by people. In fact, it is rather a rule than a norm that to be successful, that one has to display a certain kind of deviant behavior. If you look at our art, politics, or any place of social engagement, the norms have ceased to exist. Why then we expect the TikTokers to adhere to a norm when the deviancy has become the norm itself? Why reserve our laugh at those individuals making certain kind of content when we can collectively laugh at the state of our world itself? The way our economies function is that it is constantly looking for something new. Any fixed form of anything, be it films, theatre or pop arts, gets old before we get used to it. It is the system itself which promotes constant newness. If you look at the social media apps, they constantly add new features, filters, etc. etc. The phones are constantly bringing out new version before the previous one gets older. If you just look at the TikTok app itself, the way its filter works, the list of songs that it has, people can only create a certain kind of content using these features, as the app itself promotes deviant behavior, or to put it in less harsh terms, unique behavior.
So this leads me to another part of my argument, that whether those who are creating cringe are self-aware that they are in fact creating cringe.
Because if one is getting followers, brand deals, a reality show entry, and millions of views, why change then? If someone is laughing at you, let them laugh as long as it is bringing in money. Since the gold standard of any artistic activity or any artistic endeavor today is how much money it is making, is there any danger with this kind of approach? One particular danger of this trend is that people who are creating this particular kind of content may be forever trapped into creating same thing again and again, and then will be caught in the vicious loop till eternity, in which people will be creating cringe content and then there will be a response to the cringe content and so on and so forth. But this may not necessarily be the case.
Because if we look at the trajectory of YouTube, where earlier there were only blogs and few channels about music, there are now many channels about art, culture and politics, basically about anything you are interested in.
So one can hope that TikTokers too will get mature and maybe things will change. These apps have surely given people a medium to express themselves and to reach millions of people which weren't available to them before. And some have even used the app to spread awareness as well.
It's how to get long lashes. So the first you're using right now to search up what's happening in China, how they're getting concentration camps, throwing innocent Muslims in there, separating their families from each other, kidnapping them, murder.
What do you think, people? Will those creating cringe content, will they ever grow out of this, or will they remain forever caged in this cringe culture? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Bye.